Hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay. So, any queries from yesterday's session?
No, it's all too technical. I'm waiting to see if I can understand anything today.
Yeah. So yesterday was a bit technical and theoretical as well. So I think today we are going to do everything practically. So I hope you'll be able to understand it in a better way today. Okay, so we'll start with a tool called SOAP UI. So that is our topic for today, and we are going to install the SOAP UI, and we are going to do, we are going to see how do we use SOAP UI for SOAP and REST-based APIs. Okay, so that's what we are going to see today. So today's session is going to be totally practical, and we are going to do enhance things today. So it would be better if you can do alongside me. That would be great. But if you are not, if you don't want to do that alongside me, and if you just want to see the things and do the things later, that is also fine. So it's up
So
to
I have
you.
a question. I have a question. This,
Yeah.
whatever you're going to download, can I download it on my phone instead of
No, I guess you
laptop?
won't be able to use it on your phone.
Oh, okay. Because this laptop has a lot of virus. So I was wondering if we will have some trouble.
I don't think you will have some trouble using it in your laptop, so
Okay.
it's going to work fine. Okay, so let's start. I'll just uninstall it, and I'll start afresh. So I think I have got it installed. Okay, so it's totally uninstalled from my system, so I can show it to you from the beginning. Fine. Uh, yeah, we're good to go. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to go to Google and say SOAP UI install.
Wait, let me copy it down. Go to Google and say SOAP UI install.
Yeah. So this is the first link that you are going to get. It's www.soapui.org. Okay, you can click on this link.
Uh-huh.
So once you click on this link, you will get this page, and you will have this option once you have downloaded the installer. So if you click on this, it will download the installer file. So I'll just send you this link as well. So you can directly open this link. So this page will be displayed to you, and from here you can just click on this download the installer. So from here the installer file will be downloaded on your system. Okay, so I have already got it downloaded. So I'll just show it to you from there. And apart from that, you can just check out the this website as well. It has got a lot of information. So SOAP UI is having two versions. One is open source and another is paid tool. So the paid tool is called as Ready API, and Ready API is having a lot of advanced functionalities and advanced versions where you can it provides a lot of advanced functionalities, so which are not available on the SOAP UI. But for now, we are going to use the SOAP UI, and we are going to see how can we install the SOAP UI, and how can we automate, or like how can we test the REST and SOAP based APIs through SOAP UI. So you can just go through this page once, and these are the different things that we can perform using SOAP UI, like API functional testing. You can do some bit of performance testing of APIs as well. Then the API security testing, API mocking, data-driven testing, and the test reporting. So these are the different capabilities of SOAP UI. Okay, so let's go to the Okay, so SOAP UI is the leading open source cross-platform API testing tool. So SOAP UI is free and open source, but the Ready API, it is free for 14 days. It has a 14-day free trial period, but after that, you need to pay to use it. Okay. SOAP UI allows tester to execute automated functional regression, compliance, and load test on different web API. We can
It's
perform
not
the
for
function.
manual testing.
Yes, you can do the manual testing, but at the same time, you can automate your tests as well. Okay. Then you can perform your regression, compliance, and load testing as well for different web APIs. SOAP UI supports all the standard protocols and technologies to test all kind of APIs. It supports REST APIs. It supports SOAP APIs, and there is something called GraphQL, so we can test GraphQL as well. SOAP UI interface is simple that enables both technical and non-technical users to use seamlessly, and the interface and the look and feel is very simple, so it won't be difficult for you as well to understand and do the things there. So these are the different things that we can perform there. We can do the functional testing, we can do the security testing, we can do the load testing, and there are different protocol and technologies which are supported there. So we are not going to look into the security testing and load testing for now. We are just going to see the functional testing using SOAP UI. So now let's see how to create this SOAP projects, test suite, and test case for SOAP APIs. Okay. So now, have you downloaded the file, or
No,
you
no,
will
I have
download
not.
it?
I don't have not. I'm just following your
Okay,
teaching.
okay, fine. So once you click on that link, so you'll get this file downloaded on your system. Okay. So now what you need to do, you need to double click on this. So once you double click on this, this window will come, and you need to click on yes here. So it will start the installation. Click on next, click next, and this will show you whether you want to install the source, this, and the tutorials. I'll just keep it as default, so the tutorials will also get downloaded. I'll click next, next, and this will create a start menu folder. That's fine for me. I'll click on next. It will create a desktop icon. That's fine for me. Click on next, and it's installing on my system. So now it has got installed. I don't want to view the release notes for now, and I want to run the SOAP UI. So I'll click on finish. So this will launch the SOAP UI for me. Okay, so this is how the SOAP UI looks like. Okay, I'll just close this window. So now, uh, first we are going to look into the SOAP APIs, right? How the SOAP APIs we can, test the SOAP APIs. So for that, the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a project for it. Okay, so here you can see there are two options: new SOAP project, new REST project, right? And here also you can see SOAP and REST options are there. So you can either create the project from here. See, if you keep your mouse pointer here, it's showing creates a new SOAP
Mhm.
project, right? Can you see that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so either from here you can create the SOAP project, or you can directly click here and create the SOAP project. So I'll
Mm.
just click here and it will ask me to give the project name and initial WSTL. So what is WSTL? We saw yesterday, right?
Mm.
Okay, so for now we are going to give the project name as say test calculator project. Okay,
So
so
where do you get the project name that's given to you?
this one actually you can give according to whatever project you are going to test. So
Uh-huh.
here we are going to test some calculator based APIs. So that's why I have given test calculator
Uh-huh.
project.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now here we need to give the WSTL. So the WSTL we can give it in two ways. The first way is basically if you have the link, so that you can give. Otherwise, if you have the XML file of the WSTL, so that also you can give. So here I have one WSTL link. I'll just show it to you. So this is a link which is for the calculator application. So as we mentioned yesterday that WSDL will contain all the details of the web services, right? So
Mhm.
what is the full form of WSDL? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
The full form of WSDL is Web Services Definition Link, right?
Yeah, let me listen. I have a bit.
So Web Services Description Language. So that
Okay.
is the full form of WSDL.
Yeah.
So, so the definition of the web services is mentioned here. So this is in a XML format. So
Mhm.
whenever you will work on any project, right? So at that time, this WSDL will be provided to you. So it's not like you need to prepare all these things. That is no. So this will be provided to you. Either this will be provided to you in an XML file format, or else this link will be provided to you. So what you need to do, you need to copy that link and you need to provide that link here, this initial WSTL. Okay.
Mhm.
And then here you will see create sample request for all operation. So this has to be checked. And now I will click on OK, right?
Mhm.
So here you can see the project is created. The name of the project is test calculator project. So this project has been created. And under this project, we have two different WSTL. One is calculated SOAP and one is calculated SOAP 12. So these two are the same version. So I'll just go ahead and remove this one because these two are same. So I will just remove this one. So we'll work with this one. So here, if you see, we have the calculated SOAP WSTL, and under that we have four different operations, right? One is
Mhm.
add, one is divide, one is multiply, and the last one is subtract. So if I just maximize it one, you will see request one. So this is the request for the addition operation, right? So this is the request. So see, you don't need to prepare all this. This will be already prepared and given to you. So now here you can see there are two variables, I mean values where you can populate. So if I just give here say 10 and 20, and if I run this, so here is the run button, right? So if I run it, you'll get a response. So this is your request, right? This is your request, and this is the response you are getting from the server, right? And this is in raw format, so I'll just click on this XML format. So if I click on this XML format, you'll see that we're getting it in a pretty good format, right?
Yes.
So here, see in the result, you are getting 30. So I'm passing 10 and 20 values, and it is giving me the addition of those two values. Right now, I can change it as well. I can pass 50 and 100, and I can run it again. If I run it again and go to XML format, so it's giving me 150, right? Okay. So now the next is the divide operation. And for the divide operation, we have another request. So I'll just double click on this. So this will open up the request for the divide operation. I will just maximize this one by clicking here. So this will maximize the window. Now, again, here I can pass the values, say 50 and 5. And now if I run it, so I'll just click on this XML, and it is giving me the value 10, which is a 50 divided by 5 equal to 10, right? You can change it as well. You can say 150 divided by 10, and if you run it, so it will give me the value 15. Okay, and you can see the WSDL link is also visible here. So one thing that I will do is I'll just send you the WSDL as well, so that you can use it whenever you will try it by yourself. So this is the WSDL link for this application, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next operation also works similarly. If I just maximize this window, give the values here the 10 and say 5, run it, XML, and the value is 50. The multiplied result is 50. And finally, the subtract option is there. So this will also work similarly. I'll give 5, I'll give say 10, and I will run it. In the XML file, you see the result is -5, right? So these are the services, right? These are the service calls. Now, if I go to divide, and I'll just show you something here. So let us try to divide it by 0, which is not possible, right? We should get some error here. So if I execute it, so see, we are getting some error here, and it is telling the server was unable to process request, and arithmetic operation resulted in an overflow at calculated divide, blah blah blah. So basically we can't divide by 0, and that's why we are getting this kind of error here. Now what can we do? We can try to divide by, say, divide 0 by some value. In that case, you'll get the value as 0 itself, right? That's fine. Now let's see what happens if we pass some random value. So we are getting some errors here. See, it is giving us some errors that we cannot actually subtract like this random string, right? So that's why we are getting this. Okay, so this is how we can actually, use this web services, right? Fine. So now our aim is to write the test cases for this APIs, right? That is our aim.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So what are the things we are going to do here? The first thing is create a SOAP API project that we have done.
Mm.
Then we need to add the WSDL that also we have done.
Yeah.
Then the next thing is we need to create the test suite and test cases. So let's do that. So this is our WSDL and we are having this operations, right? So now to create the test suite for that, we need to right click here on the WSDL. So if you right click here, you'll get this option generate test suite, right? Click on that. If you click on that, you'll get this window and this will ask you some options. So the test suite is create, that is fine. Now the style is one test case for each operation. So for each operation, one test case will be created. Yes, I want to have that. Now the request content is use existing request in interface, whatever request we are having. So either you can use those or you can create new empty request. So what I will do is I will just use the existing request, whatever request we are having there, I'm going to use that. And here under the operations, you can see all these 4 operations are present. Now, if you want to just create the test case for this add operation, you can just, unselect all and then select add, right? And if you want to create the test case for only this 2 operation, you can do that as well. For now, I am going to create the test cases for all these 4 operations, right? And
Mm.
then I'll click on this OK. So this is asking me to give the test suite name. So calculator, so test suite, that's fine. I'm going to proceed with that. I'm going to click on OK. So this has created a test suite for me. Calculator, so test suite, and this window is given. So I'll just close this window for now, right?
Mm.
So let's go to the test suite. So under this test suite, you can see 4 different test cases are given for 4 different operations. What are those 4 operations? There were add, there was divide, there was multiply, and there was subtract, right? So
Mm.
for
Mm.
all these 4 operations, we have 4 different test cases, right? So click on the first test case. You'll see under the test case, we have one test step, right? One
Mm.
test step, and there is options for load test and security test, but for now we are going to ignore those. We are going to look at the functional testing of web APIs. So here you have the request now, the add. So this is the test step we are having here, right? And see the values that we provided previously, those values are coming here. Now if you want to test it for different values, you can do that as well. You can just change the values here. Okay. Then in the divide test case, also we have the test step there, and this is having the request for divide as well. So here also you can change the values if you want to do it. Say 100 divided by 5. Then we have the multiply test case. Go to the test step to multiply, and here you will have the values as 15, 5, and finally the subtract test case, and here we have 5, which will give you the result -5. Okay, fine. So we have our test cases here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, test case and the test steps. Now, so if I open this one, so see we have created the test suite and test cases as well. Now the next thing is we need to do the verification. So whatever response you are getting, so you need to check that whether the response is correct or not, right? This operations whichever is performing, so as a tester you need to test that this responses are correct or not, right? So that is what we need to do.
Mhm.
Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So for that we need to do the verification. So in SOAP UI, the verifications are called these assertions, right? So here in every test step, you'll see one assertion. You can add one or multiple assertions here, right? So I'll just click on this assertion. This will open up this particular section, and here you can add your assertion. There is a plus icon here. If you click on
Mhm.
that, it will open up this section, right? So here you can see there is an option. There are multiple options here. So for now, we are going to use the contents, right? So I'll click on add, and you can give your value here. So for this subtract, this response should have this -5, right? Because we
Mhm.
are trying to subtract 5 from 10. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah. So in that case, it will give you -5. You can use some regular expression as well if that is required. We'll look into that later. So I'll just click on OK. So see, the assertion has been added, and as this response is having -5 value, so this has this is changed to green, and you can see this is passing. So that's why here also you can see the color has been changed to green because the
Mhm.
assertion is passing, right? So
Mhm.
similarly, we can add this assertion to other requests as well. So here we are giving 15 and 5. So if I give the assertion here, I'll do it similarly. I'll click on the plus. I'll click on contents, and this should have the value 75, right? 15 into 5, 75. I'll click on OK. So see, now it is red. The moment I hit run and I get the response 75, the assertion
Mhm.
is passing. So the color has been changed to green. Similarly, if I go to divide, and here also I can add the assertion. I'll just click here. I'll click contents, and the value here should be 20, right? I'll click on OK. And this is red now. As soon as I click on this run button, we get the response, and the response contains 20. The assertion is passed, and the color has been changed to green.
Mhm.
So here also we can add the assertion. Similarly, I will click contents, and I'll give 200 here. And I'll click on OK. And if I run this, this is giving me 200, and the assertion is passed. So we have added assertion for all these test steps. Okay, now suppose you are changing the value here. Suppose you are doing it 200 and you are getting it as 300, right? So
Mhm.
at that time, you need to change the assertion. So how do you change the assertion? You go here, you click on configure, and you need to give it 300. Click OK, and that is how you change the assertion.
Mhm.
Right now, how do you test this as a whole? So there is one option that if you just click here, it will give you the result, the response, and only this particular test step or this particular test case is getting executed from here. Or else what you can do, you are executing the test step from here, right? Now if you just click here, so it will open this. So this will actually help you to test this particular test case. So you can have multiple test steps here, right? You can add more test steps here. So from here you can actually execute all the test cases which are there under the add addition operation. So you can just click here and it will execute all the test steps that are there under this test case. So see, it has got passed, right? Okay. Now what we can do next, we can just go to the test suite level. So this is our test suite. If I click here, double click here, so this window will pop up. So here there are two options. So one, you can do, this will be, selected by default, and this will execute all the test cases in sequence. That means the first test case will get executed first, then the second test case will get executed, then the third test case will get executed, and then the last test case will get executed. So this will be selected by default, and it will execute the tests in sequence. So if I just execute it from here, so it will run all the test cases that are here in a sequential manner. Now there is another option that is present here, which is to run the tests in parallel. So if I select it and rerun the tests again, so this will this will execute all the test cases in parallel, and it will take less time because the test cases are getting executed at the same time. So this will actually take less time, and as like we are not having a lot of tests here, so that's why for now you won't be able to understand the difference. But if we are having say 100 or say 200 number of test cases added here, so at that time you'll see the difference between, because if you're executing the tests in sequence, so that means the second test will only get executed once the first test case is executed. But in case of parallel mode, all the tests are getting executed at the same time.
Mm.
So now let's go to this particular test step, and let's change the assertion. Right click here and I'll make it say 50. Okay, and I'll click on OK. So they see the moment I change the assertion value, it is failing. It shows that missing token 15 response, because in this response we don't have the value 50, right? So that's why it's failing. And see, the color is red. Now if I go to our test suite and if I try to execute, so see, this divide test case is failing. Why is this failing? Because this particular response doesn't have the value 50 in it, right? So what we can do, we can again like click on here, we can change the value to 20, and click OK, and this will pass. The session is passing now. If I go to test suite again, if I run all the test cases, so all the tests are passing, right?
Yeah.
So any queries till now?
Seems easy when you're doing. When I
It's
take my
easy. I
time
mean,
and do, I might have questions. I will have
okay,
questions.
it's not that difficult. It's pretty easy, and you can just follow the steps that I'm showing you. Okay, so We have run the test step, we have run the test case, and we have run the test suite, and we have run in sequence and in parallel. So all these things we have already covered. The last thing is creating the API documentation. Before I go there, I want to show you something else as well. So these assertions, we can have multiple assertions. Okay, it's not like we can have only one assertion, we can have multiple assertion here. So if I click here, so this adds one more assertion. So now suppose if I go to properly content, and here I'll see not contents as well. Okay, so what is not contents? So the contents checks that the response should have that value, right? Now if I go to not contents, and if I give something called, let's say, error, okay, and I can give ignored case in comparison as well. So in the response, if I have this error in say capital letters or small letter, it will ignore the case. And I say, okay. So this has added one more assertion here, which is not contains. So if the response will contain error word anywhere in this response, okay, so this assertion will fail, right?
Mm.
Because I am telling it that this response should not contain any word called error, right?
Yeah. So
Okay,
if it
so
shows
now, yeah.
error, then what do we do?
So if it is having any word called error, so in that case, this assertion will fail. So this test case will fail.
Mm.
Suppose if we go to divide, okay, and now say we are trying to divide it by 0.
Mm.
I click OK, I run it, and I get something called this exception, right?
Mm.
So what I'll do, I'll in the assertion, I will add that this should not contain anything as exception. And I do the uh, I am ignoring case in comparison, and I click OK. So see, this particular step is now failing. Why is it failing?
Mm.
Because this particular response is having exception here,
Mm.
right? In multiple places. So
Yeah.
now if I go to test suite, and if I say execute the tests, so this particular test will fail. The divide test will fail.
Mm.
Now if I go to divide, and if I make it 5 and I execute it, so now all the two assertions are passing, right? Because the response that we are getting, so the response does not have any string called exception,
Mm.
right? So both, we have given two assertion points there, so all those two assertions are passing.
Mm.
If I go to divide, so we have two assertions here. The first assertion, it should contain the value 20. So yes, this now contains the value 20, because 100 divided by 5 is 20. And the next one is, it should not contain any string called exception. Yes, the response doesn't contain any string called exception now. Right. So in this way, you can add other exceptions as well, other assertions as well, and there are a lot of different type of assertion. Some of those we are going to see in the next classes. So yeah, so that's how you prepare a test suite. And finally, you need to document the test. So how do we document the test? We click on this test suite, we right click here, and okay, we need to click on the WSTL. So if we right click on the WSTL here, you see we'll get an option, generate documentation, right? So click on the generate documentation. It will ask you to give the link of the output folder. So I'll just browse it and say I want to generate it in my desktop. Okay. And I click on OK. So I'll just close it for now. I'll go to my desktop and see this report has been generated, right? This report file has been generated. Now I'll just double click on it. So this will give me a documentation of the different operations, whatever we have done. See, these are the different operations that we are performing, right? Where the protocol is SOAP, we are using the SOAP API. Now see, we have different type of operations. So all those operation details are given here. And this WSDL source code is also given here, right? So this WSDL source code is also given here. So now we can try one thing. We can just copy this whole WSDL source code. And as I mentioned you that we can either pass the WSDL link, or we can also give the um, XML file. Now let's just try with the XML file. So I'll just open a text file. I will paste whatever I have copied, and then I will save it as a XML file. So I'm going to save it as on my desktop, set calculator dot XML. And it will be on. Save. So this is my calculator.xml file, right? Now if I go here and say I need a new project. So to create a new project, I'll click here. It's asking me for project name. I'll give the project name as test calculator APIs from XML. Okay. And I will now, because I have the XML file now, I just browse it. I will go to my desktop. And I have the calculator.xml file which I have just created. So I'll click that, I'll click open, and I'll click OK. So see, similarly, I have got this different operations. So I'll just remove this one, and I can proceed with all these different operations. Now, if I need to create the test suite, I can just right click on this test suite, right click on the WSDL, and I can generate the test suite from here, right? So any questions till now?
I understand when you're saying, but I don't know how it's going to work out.
Okay. Fine. So yeah, so in this way we can write our test cases for the SOAP APIs, and then we can generate the documentation as well, and we can keep the documentation anywhere on our system, and we can refer to that at any time. So anytime you just double click that, it will open up in the browser, and you can see all the different options, all the different operations, the WSDL code. So the documentation of the whole WSDL will be generated. Okay, fine. So I think we are pretty much done with the XML thing. with the SOAP project, we have created the SOAP API project. We have added the WSTL. We have seen two different options here. The first one is we can give the WSTL link. Otherwise, we can, if we have the XML file, we can create the project with the XML file as well, right? After that, we have created the test suite and the test cases. Then we have added different assertions in the test cases, in the test steps. Then we have run from the test step level, from the test case level, and from the test suite level as well. So from the test suite level, we have the option to run in sequence, or we can run in parallel as well. And finally, we have created the API documentation, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we have also some other WSDL as well. So if you want to try with a different WSDL, you can try any one from this as well. So these are having different WSDL for different applications. Okay,
Okay.
okay, fine. So let's take a small break here, and after that we'll see how we can do the same for the REST APIs. So till now we have seen it for the SOAP APIs. Next we are going to see it for the REST project. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Let's take a small break here and we'll start after 5 minutes. Okay, so I'll share my screen again. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now for the next part, we are going to use this particular website. So I will send it to you as well. Uh, yeah. So this is having all the REST requests, and yesterday only we had already seen this, right? So we're going to do the same from here. So now we are going to create a REST project, right? Initially we created the SOAP project. Now we are going to create the REST project. So if you have the option to create it from here, or else you can create it from here as well. I'll click here, and this is asking me to give the URI. So I'll give the URI, the same URI here, and I'll click.
Screen disappeared. Visible.
Sorry, your voice is not audible.
The screen disappeared, so I'm trying to get back.
Okay.
I don't know. It says Janda's training, but
Is it? I will just
Zoom.
stop the sharing and
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, got it. I got it.
okay. Okay. So this is our first request, right? And here the endpoint is basically the request.in, the website that I have shown you. And now we need to give the resource. So what is the resource? Yesterday we discussed about it. The first resource is, suppose, this particular link. So this is one resource. So what will happen here? It will give us the list of all the users, right? So now if I run it from here, and I go to the JSON format. Okay. Oh, see, this is the response that we are getting, right?
What do we understand from this response?
So this response is basically, it is having all the details of the users. So this is This is a dummy API, right? This is not something which is very much practical. So this is for the just for the testing purpose. So here, if you see, it is giving us the list of all the users. So here, if you follow this particular data, this is having the details of different users. So their email, their first name, last name, and their avatar, and all this. So this is something that is coming from this particular resource, right? So if I just add another one, this is the rest project one. This is the WD. So one thing that you need to remember in case of SOAP services, right? It is called WSDL. I mean Web Services Description Language. But in case of REST, it is called as WADL, Web Applications Description Language. So this is the WADL. Now if I click here, you can have this option of new resource. If I click on new resource, it's asking for the resource path. So the next resource path that we can give, if I want to get the single user details. So for that, this is the request path /API/user/2, right? So I'll give that and click on OK. So this is giving me another request. So if I just expand it and if I run it, so see, I'm getting the response of a single user. I'm getting the details of a single user whose ID is 2. Right now, if I give it 3 and if I run it, so I'm getting the details of the the person whose ID is 3, right? So now if you see this one, so here all these IDs are given. So here if I make page equal to 1 and if I run it, so I get the details of the say users who are on page 1. So there are total 12 number of pages, and per page we are getting 6 employees. So see, this is the ID of the third resource, and his email is this, and name is Emma, and last name is Wong. So if I go here and when I give the ID as 3 of that user, so I get the details of that particular user, right? Okay. So now what we can do is so these are all the get methods, right? Yesterday we saw about 4 different methods. The first one is get. Then what were the other methods?
Post, get, put, patch,
And delete.
post, get, put, and patch.
Yeah,
Then
and delete was also there. Yeah. So okay, so what is the use of post method?
Post will just post will update whatever is there, I think.
No, post is actually used to create the new data, right? Then for updations, we can use either put or patch. So there is a slight difference between put and patch, but we can use both put and patch for updations, and for deletions, we use the delete, right? So we will add another resource here and say we want to do, we want to create a new user, right? So for that, we have the request of /API/users. And this is not a get method, right? This is a post method because this is given here, right? For post to create this one, right? And then you need to pass the parameters as well. So to pass the parameter, you can add this from here, right? So what is the name? Its name, the value is, say, OCS. You can add another one. It is job. The value is say leader. Okay. And now we run it. So see, a new data has been created and the ID of that user is 427, right? So if I now go here and if I give 427 and I execute it, okay, so basically it's not saving all the details because it's a dummy. It is not having any, say, user ID and all, or any database on all and all. So that's why it's not giving you, but basically it's showing that it is created, right? And the ID is 427. Now suppose we want to update, right? For update, we have this one. So API/user/2. We will add another resource, and this will be slash API/user/2. Right? And here, this is the parameter. So here also we can pass it as name and value is Morpheus job and okay. So close it, and the method will be what? We're going to update it, right? So it will be put. Yeah. So the same thing is given here as well. It is for update and the method is put method. So now if we run it, so you see updated at this time, right? This has got updated. Okay. So now what we are going to do, we are going to similarly, so this is the requests, right? These are all the requests. So now what we are trying to do, we are trying to create the test suite out of that. So again, I need to right click on the WADL and I need to click on generate test suite. So it is the similar way. It's asking me for test suite to be created. I want to create one test case for each resource. So these are all different resources. So I want to create each test case for one test case for each resource. And I want all the resources here. And I click on OK. It's asking me to give the test suite name. So maybe test test suite. Anything that is meaningful to you, you can give. So here the test suite is created. Now if I expand it, so I get the test cases for different requests. So if I expand it, so this is my first request, right? Okay. So now you can see this is a get method and the resource is this one, right? So again, I can run it from here and this will give me this particular response. Okay. Now we can add the assertions, right? So you can go here, you can click here. And now, so yesterday we were talking about the response code as well, right?
Yeah.
That
The
will
one
get,
series, two series.
yes. So now here, see, we have the response code as well. So valid HTTP status code. So I say that I need 200 here. And this is assertion is passing. Right? So see, this is giving us the status code as 200 in the response.
Yeah.
So the assertion is passing here. Okay. Now let's add another assertion. So here we have another one, which is a put method, right? Here it is a put method. So here if I run it, we are getting this as updated, right? System request log. And now if I want to add the section, you can do it. We'll go to compliance status and standard, and we will add valid HTTP status secret, and this will be 200. Okay. At the same time, if we want to validate that there should not be any error, so for that also we can do, there is invalid HTTP status code. So whatever value you are giving here, invalid HTTP status code, so it will check that that particular error code should not be present. So 400, say 401, say 500, 501. So these are all the invalid error code, right? So I'm checking that the response should not give us this kind of error code. I'll click OK. So in that case
Yeah.
also this is getting passed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's open another one. This is for the post method, right? In the post method, if I execute it, it's giving us the ID and all. And you can also check these things like the whatever the header values are there. So all these things will be coming here. Those you can actually check. So here you are getting 201 status code, right? So here, if you go to the assertion and give, say, 200, so that will actually fail, right? Because they are getting the status code as 201. So that's why you need to give it 201. Okay, and the assertion is passing. We can add some more assertion here. We don't want to have any kind of error code like 400, 401, 402, 403, 500, 501, 502, 503. Let's click OK, and this is also valid, right?
Mhm.
Now let's go to the next request, which is also a GET request. Like here, okay, this is not given anything. So what I need to do is to modify it first. This one should be 1, right? And now if I click it, it's giving me the details of the first, the user whose ID is 1. So now if I go here, so this is changed. Now if I click here, we are getting the details of the user whose ID is 1. We can add the status code here as well. So I want to check that whether this valid HTTP status code is coming or not. I'll give 200 and I'll add it, and the assertion is passing. So now we have all the assertions in all the different requests. So now the first thing is we can execute these different test steps individually from here, right? And this is passing. Now we can go to the test case as well. And from the test case, we can execute it. Yes, this is working. Now, the next thing is we can go to the test suite level, right? And from the test suite level also, we can execute it. So this is the sequential execution, and we can also choose the parallel execution, right? So all these test cases are getting passed. Any question till now?
So this is manual testing, all that what you did now? This is part
Yes.
of manual test, what you did now?
Yes, so whatever we are doing, this is manual functional testing of APIs, but you can extend it to automation as well.
Okay.
Right? So you can extend it to automation as well. Now there is one thing that I want to show you. So this is the put method, and this was the get method. Yes. So now what we can do, we can have multiple requests in one request as well, right? So I can click here, I can just copy it, or I can clone this request. If I clone this request, I say this as negative. This is another one which is got created. So see, we have two different requests under one method. And say here I want to give 500, which does not exist. This user doesn't exist. Okay. So now if I come here in the second test case, so we have this request. Now I want to clone it as well from the test step. And I say it as okay. I will add it to test case. So see, this one is added now. Now what I need to do is I will just remove this one. So see, this test case is now having two different steps, right? So one is for positive testing, one is for negative testing. Okay, so I'll just move it from. That's fine. Now what I'll do is I will add the assertion here, and if I execute it, what are the representation we are getting? We are getting 404, I guess. So I'll add, and this should have. So what is this 404 error code? Do you remember?
That is the code status for some error and
So that means a server could
user
not
error.
find a client requested web page, right?
Yeah.
So we are getting 404 here because there is no such user with 500 ID, right? So that's why we are getting it. Now, if we run the test suite here, you see it's saying that we have two test cases here, right?
Yeah.
So it's saying that we have two test cases here. And so if I run this particular test case, which is having two tests here, so all those two are getting passed. Now all the test cases are getting passed. And here, if we as like this 500 doesn't exist, so that's why we are getting 404, right? We're getting 404 here, and that's why this is also passing, right? So similarly here also for the REST request, we have created the REST project, right? And then we have added a REST request. We have added the request parameters as well, right? These are the request parameters that we have added when we are doing the post or say put. Yes, see, these are the parameters, right? So this we have added. We have added those parameters. Then we have created the test case. We have added the assertions. We have run and validated. We have done all of this. And finally, we can create the documentation from here as well. If you create on the WADL, this is the WADL, right? If you right click on here, so you'll get the option to create the documentation. So if I click on create documentation, it will ask me to create the output, set the output folder. I'll set it same as previous, like I'll go here and select desktop. I'll click on open and I'll click on OK. So this will create me a documentation. So this is the documentation report. If I double click here, it will open this particular resource for me. And here you will get all the documentation, right? Okay. So finally, I think we have the execution order. So anything, any query from here? I think both are almost similar. The only thing is in case of SOAP, you get the response in XML format, but in case of REST, you get the response in JSON format. But in both the cases, you can add the assertions in case of REST APIs. In case if you want to, validate, I'll just show you that as well. So where is the get method? Right here. Okay, so here you can see that if you want to validate that, I want to validate that this email ID should be there in the response body. This is the response body. So that also you can do. You can go assertion, you can click here, you can click on this contains, and you can just put it, and you can do ignore case in comparison and click on OK. So this has also added another assertion. Now if you click here, so this assertion is also passing because this particular response body is having this particular email ID. So these things also you can validate. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So any questions till now?
No, I understand when you're showing, but I have to do it myself.
Okay, yeah, just do all this by yourself. You can use this particular REST APIs as well, but for the first time, I would recommend you to try with the resources which I have shared you. Right,
Okay.
try with the recurres.in and the calculator one WSTL that I have provided to you.
Okay.
Okay. So now what is the order of execution? So the order of execution is, you can see either we can have the SOAP or REST project. Under the project, we are providing WSDL, which is Web Service Description Language for SOAP. In case of REST, we are providing Web Applications Description Language, right? After that, we are creating the test suite. Under the test suite, we are creating the test cases. Then we are giving the assertion there. Then if required, like we can do the scripting, or we can do the parameterization, and also we can do the load testing or security testing as well. So these are a bit advanced, and I don't think, if I show it to you, you'll be able to understand all. So it's better if we go step by step. For now, whatever we have learned yesterday and today, you need some practice on those. So do practice, and once you're clear with that, then in the next class we can go in some advanced version as well. In the next class, we are going to see the XPath match or XQuery match and all the script assertion on different type of assertion. Okay. So that is all from today's class. Any questions if you have, you can let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
Is it looking too heavy for you?
Yeah, right now it is. So I have to practice.
Yeah, I mean, once you do all this by yourself, you do it practically on your system, I think it will look pretty easier for you. And then like just practice all these things. And then if you are not able to do anything in particular, we can discuss it tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then
Thank you.
that's it for today. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.